Yeah, good evening, all Rotarians. Welcome to this meet. Four-way test. The four-way test today things for the things we say, we think, so or we do. Is it truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will
Functions
it
of the
beneficial?
afternoon.
Will beneficial to all concerns? Thank you, sir.
Begum,
Welcome.
sir.
Venkat, can you
Thank you.
mute all? Venkat and just the host, please. Unmute just the host, please. Venkat.
Rotary information.
Council and marriage. Inauguration at 10 a.m.
Rotary information.
Marriage at 11:15.
Good evening to you all. Today's Rotary information. Rotary monitors the global coronavirus crisis. As people of action, Rotary members are engaged in their communities, gathering for projects and offering help to those in need. Fighting disease is one of the Rotary's main causes. So members already support efforts to promote proper hand washing techniques, teach people other ways to stay healthy, and support training and vital medical equipment to healthcare providers. Now, they are helping health authorities communicate life-saving information about COVID-19 and donating protective gear and other supplies to clinics and hospitals that are under strain because of the pandemic. Second Rotary information is past RI Director Yashpal Das of RC Ambala, India, who was RI Director for the year 2011-13, is no more. In the words of past RI President Raja Sabu, we quote, "We have lost a good leader, sincere person and noble heart. The Uttarakhand schools, up in schools be his memorial," unquote. Third piece of information, Dr. Tunji Fansha, a former cardiologist who is the chair of Rotary International Polio Plus Committee in Nigeria, says, I quote, "If Nigeria could eliminate the world polio virus, any country can eliminate it. Only in two countries, namely Pakistan and Afghanistan, polio remains endemic. Make a donation to Polio Plus and help fund the fight against polio. The Bills and Melinda Gates Foundation is matching contribution to 2:1. Thus, your donation will be tripled." Fourth piece of information, Rotary member Dr. Tunji Fansha, named in 100 most influential people in the world 2020. Fifth piece of information, our guest speaker today, of course, last time. Then Jennifer Jones, member of RC Windsor Roseland, Ontario, Canada, will become RI President for 2022-23, a groundbreaking selection that will make her the first woman to hold that office in the service organization's 115 years existence. Jennifer is the founder and president of Media Stretch Productions Incorporated, an award-winning media company in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. She was trustee of Rotary Foundation, RI Vice President, and co-chair of the End Polio Now, Make History Today campaign. She received Service Above Self Award and Citation for Meritorious Service, YMCA Peace Medallion, Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal, and Wayne State University Peacemaker of the Year Award. Thank you very much. So, information is over.
Hello.
Hello, over.
Oh, thank you. Hello. Yeah. Mr. Chandrakant,
Yes, sir.
please introduce our
Yes.
Rotarian and today's speaker, Sri P.R. Ramesh, Deloitte India Chairman, retired. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I mean, it takes immense pressure to invite one of the person I know since I was with Deloitte as well. So it's P.R. Ramesh, who is the retired chairman of Deloitte Haskins and Sells. P.R. Ramesh graduated in commerce from Usmania University, Hyderabad, and is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ICAI. He is the member of Board of Studies and the Faculty of Commerce of the Usmania universities. He's also been associated with a number of regulatory bodies, industry bodies, and various boards and committees of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He has been a member of regulatory bodies in many of the SEBI committees, and he's been a member of industry bodies in many of the accounting standard bodies. And uh, P.R. Ramesh was the chartered member of the Rotary Club of Calcutta, Inner City, and held various positions as a treasurer for 5 years, director international services, etc. Currently, he is the member of the Rotary Club of Secunderabad. Everyone knows him very well. P.R. Ramesh has been a speaker and a presenter paper for international conferences, regional conferences, seminars, workshops by ICAI, RBI, FICCI, and other professional and industrial bodies. He has been a speaker for Rotary functions, including district assemblies, South Asian conferences, Centennial conferences, and he has also been a member of the jury for many humanitarian awards. And it takes immense pleasure for me to invite one of the biggest person I know, P.R. Ramesh sir. Over to you, P.R. Ramesh sir.
Thank you, Rotary Chandrakant. I hope you all can hear me clearly. So, good evening, fellow Rotarians, past District Governor Suresh, Assistant Governor Bharati, very good friends here, Lakshmi Jyoti.
Audio band.
Thank you very much for being part of this program. And I'm petrified because I have two guests. One of them is a leading anesthetist, another is one of the top scientists of Indian Space Research Organization. So I'm here talking about technology, and here they are, perhaps here to challenge me on some of it. All in all, I think you must be curious as to why I've chosen this topic. But before I get into that, let me try and share screen and see if you can see the screen, and let me know if you can see the screen. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
There is a reason for this topic. It must be strange that an accountant is speaking on this topic. I'll speak for about 30 minutes and then take questions. The reason is this was the most spoken topic before the pandemic. This was the buzzword across the world, and we used to call it the Industrial Revolution 4.0. If the pandemic had not happened, perhaps everybody would have been talking about this and, more importantly, feeling the impact of this. Perhaps what has happened is in reality, the pandemic has only hastened the impact of the fourth industrial revolution. So let me go on to explain what this fourth industrial revolution is all about. This is across the world, and mind you, this was also the lead topic for the Economic Forum some time ago. That's why I picked on this topic. Again, I'm an accountant by background, so pardon me, I don't sound too authoritative in many of this. But I must tell you that we are at the beginning of a revolution. Again, today, fundamentally changing the way we live, we work, and how we relate to each other. The term revolution deliberately, because that's the term used across the world. The changes are historic in terms of their size, their scope, and the speed of change, more particularly. I'll speak more about that. The changes are so profound that from a historical perspective, from the human history perspective, there has never been a time before with so much of promise of potential as it is now. So, if you look at the four industrial revolutions, before the industrial revolution, the real change happened when 10,000 years ago, when man shifted from foraging to farming. After that, it was fairly static, nothing so fantastic happening till the late 18th century. The first industrial revolution happened. And that is when the steam power railroads happened, and it transformed economies. Many countries, particularly the US economy, was transformed with the introduction of railroads. Much later in the earlier 20th century, late 19th century, but actually the early 20th century, you had automation, you had mass production. And you would see before World War I, World War II, you had even 1934, you had the Charlie Chaplin movie too, of modern times, showed automation the way it is. Then we had the third industrial revolution in the 70s when computers were introduced. And that is the beginning of, in some manner, the digital age. But what we are witnessing today,
नहीं मैं देखे पर
Can you mute all, please? I think there is a disturbance. No?
so what we're witnessing now is the fourth industrial revolution, which I'll speak more about, which it is not just about smart or connected machines and technology and a whole host of things. Simultaneously, a number of breakthroughs are happening. The breakthroughs are happening in areas ranging from sequencing, nanotechnology, to renewables, to quantum computing. So, for the first time, what we are witnessing today is we are witnessing a convergence. And I'll again speak to you a little about the convergence. But the single biggest change has been technology. You know, years ago, about 15, 20 years ago, I was in a program and there was a speaker called Wolfgang Grülke. He wrote a book, 10 Lessons from the Future. And at that point in time, he just asked us to just think 10 years ago. And then, did you imagine that all what is happening today would have happened when you were 10 years ago? In reality, no. Did we expect when in the 90s, if you put your clock back 20, 30 years ago, did you expect that the world will be what it is today? Just like how we are having a meeting today. Everybody is connected. We're able to see each other seamlessly talking about. This is just one part of technology. But the real big change definitely has been technology, and the large part of the fourth industrial revolution has been technology. What has technology done? It has changed what we do, it has changed how we do, when we do, where we do. Businesses do not have changed, but all of it, what we do, how we do, when we do. I will take you through some pieces of technology, just few elements, and try and give you in perspective so that you will understand what is happening and what is the potential for future. And why I'm talking about this is each one of us will be affected by it. There will be absolutely no one who will be exempt from this. The speed of change I spoke about and the quantum of change is exponential. What do I mean by exponential? Let me give you an illustration. You all must have heard the story of the person who designed the chessboard. You know, when he presented it to the king was so happy. He said, "Ask what you want, I'll give it to you." So that man said, "My lord, I only want 1 grain of rice on the first square of the chessboard, twice that on the second square of the chessboard, twice that on the third square of the chessboard." So that means that the first one is 1, the second one is 2, the third one will be 4, the fourth one will be 8, and so on. The king said, "Oh, is that all what you want?" And he ordered his treasury to, fulfill the gift. Not realizing that when you double 64 times, you will reach the magic number of 1 quintillion, 1 followed by 18 zeros. So all the granary in the kingdom was not sufficient to meet the need. That's the pace of change we are seeing. Take, for example, computers itself. Early times, maybe 40 years ago, we used to talk of mainframes, huge computers. I remember going into a computer center, which was a huge 4-story building, almost the size of a 4-story building. You have to leave your footwear outside, a huge mainframe all around. The power of that is today in my mobile phone. That has been the change. Today's size has come down to that extent, and I'll speak about nanotechnology even further. Today we have 6 million mobile phones, or more than 6 billion mobile phones in this world. There are more mobile phones than toothbrushes used by people today. That is the power of data and technology with people around. In 2014, I'm just giving you 6 years ago data. Current year data is multiple of it. There were 194 billion emails sent every day. That means per person in the world, 28 mails were going every day 6 years ago. You can imagine how much it is going 6 years. Eric Schmidt of Google in 2010, not now, he said that the data from the beginning of the mankind till 2010 was being generated every two years. Currently, it is being generated every few hours. Each one of you in WhatsApp exchange messages That is data. Look at the volume you exchange, commencing from good mornings to a lot of videos you upload. That is the magnitude. So look at storage. Look at in 1956, one hard drive of just 5 megabytes, 5 MB was the size of 2 refrigerators. Today, we are talking of terabytes, just 100,000 times that particular this thing. Storage, we had the classic Kreider's law. Kreider's law said that the amount of storage in a magnetic disk will double every year. It is still happening. That is the volume of storage which we are generating today. Phenomenal. So it's no longer about megabytes, petabytes. We are getting on to zettabytes, which is again 1 followed by 18 zeros. That is the number of bytes. And that is the data each one of us is generating. And yet, look at the data we are handling across the world and what it means. Phenomenal. And I'll again speak about that. Speed. Moore's law. Gordon Moore said that the number of transistors in a chip will double every year at the same cost. And he said that will go on for 7 years. In 1965, it's going on today. Just to put it in perspective, an Intel chip of the first Intel chip in 4004 in 1970, that chip, if you compare it with the current Intel chip, it is about 100,000 times more energy efficient, the current chip. It is 4,000 times faster, and it is 70,000 times cheaper than the first Intel chip. One Intel scientist just tried to compare that. If the same pace of change, which has happened in the computer field or the digital field or the technology field, had happened in the automobile field, a 1971 Volkswagen, if it had the same pace of change had happened, the same Volkswagen Beetle today, you would have been able to drive at 300,000 miles per hour. And in 1 liter, you would have been able to drive 2 million miles. That has been the pace of change in the digital space only on speed. And on sensors, today we are able to sense smell. We are able to sense sight, sound, movement, temperature, wind, name it. And the one is working on the sense of smell. All the other senses are almost done. And that is, again, transforming the world around us. And the technology, and as I said, talk of machines, an average desktop today is capable of equating the human mind, roughly producing about or capable of processing 10 to the power of 16 calculations per second. 10 to the power of 16 calculations per second. Just look at the magnitude of what it is. And connectivity, today we are hugely connected. And the speeds we are talking about are phenomenal speeds which we are talking about. In addition to all just these 4, then you get on to internet. What we are seeing today, we are talking of big data. Big data is the volume of data which is happening, the trends which we are able to manipulate and see. Then 3D printing, 3D houses are being printed. Then you got talking of Internet of Things, Internet of Variables, nanotechnology, minute, robotics, where the machines are able to replicate what humans are able to do in terms of interacting with the physical world. Then you are into artificial intelligence, which is just very basic. You are into artificial general intelligence, moving on to artificial super intelligence. Just for instance, a simple question, artificial intelligence we talk of, a simple question. Am I going to be 2 hours late to my office? You've got 2OO, TO and TWO. That artificial intelligence processing will automatically, without error, produce that TO, TWO and TO in a sentence. How does it happen? Look at the phenomenon. We take it for granted when we do texting, how words pop up. That's very basic artificial intelligence. Today, what is being done is progressing towards artificial superintelligence and trying to replicate the human brain in the way it is. So the essential building blocks of Industry 4.0 is all of this, putting all of this together, but more importantly, and this is the key, it is the physical, the digital, and the biological loop. And it gets on to the three things: the physical world, the digital world, and the biological world. You know, the biological world, the developments in the biological world, a simple thing. The extent of progress which is happening in DNA printing, the extent of replication which is happening. Why is my voice like my father? Why can't we replicate that voice? Today, voice recognition software is to such an extent that if a woman is walking with her child, it can tell you whether the woman is the mother of the child if both are speaking. That is the advancement which has happened. In fact, I was with Ray Kurzweil, who's of the Singularity University, has written that very famous book. And he was telling me that the development has been to such an extent that it's back to, why is my nose like my father? It's because of the programming in my DNA. So he says, why should we cut a tree to make a table? Why can't we grow the tree in the shape of a table? He says that has been achieved already. So that's so basic. And that is essentially what the 3D manufacturing combines with DNA printing. And therefore, what we are seeing today is what we call is bioprinting in the way it is, where even human tissues, human organs are being replicated, and that's already being used. This bioprinting is already advancing to such an extent. So this is, in effect, what you're seeing is the physical world, the digital world, and the biological world coming together. And then this clearly means it impacts all of us. Every business is impacted at all levels. Just to again give you as to how businesses are impacted, I will tell you about, let's go back in time to, sorry, I just scribbled this particular thing. In 1990, just go back 30 years. In 1990, the top 3 companies in the world were in Detroit. And they had a market capitalization of just $36 billion. And they had revenues of $250 billion. And they employed 1.1 million people. A few years ago, the top 3 companies in the world, which were in the Silicon Valley companies, had almost the same revenues. They had $247 billion revenue, but they had 3 times the market capitalization of $1 trillion. But more importantly, they employed only 135,000 people. Where was 1.1 million people employed by the top 3 companies in the world, and where is 135,000 people being employed by the top 3 companies in the digital age? And that is the point. There is that human value is humans are able to add far more value, but with lesser number of people. So it's more other capital than human capital, which is actually coming in. And this clearly has an impact on all industries. Everything is changing. Supply chain. You would have looked at what has happened by pandemic itself, how businesses are adapted to it. Look at all what's happening around the world. And why am I raising this issue is this is going to hit us across sectors. There will be disintermediation. We've already seen that. Where is the travel agent today? There used to be a time when a travel agent was required to book your tickets. And he had great offices, trade wings in Hyderabad. They used to do a lot of work. Sita World Travels. Where is the travel agent? You book your own ticket. So that is, he was the intermediary between a passenger and airline. He's disappeared. If I extend this, I would say a pujari in a temple will disappear. You go to a temple to pray to God, not to the pujari. Imagine if the temple was digital and had a press of a button, the mantra was read out, and then another press of a button, the holy water came in. Just like you go to an ATM and draw cash, there's no cashier there. You do it 24/7. So the intermediaries are threatened because of technology. We have already seen that. Many jobs have gone. Most of that, and I'll show you which are the jobs which are most vulnerable. Then you have Uberization of professions, Uberization of businesses, where again, Uber, as you know how it has disrupted, whether it's Uber, Airbnb, you name it, all these new business models are disrupting. Crowdsourcing. Why do I need to go to PR Ramesh to get a solution? I throw it into the crowd. Anybody who gives me the answer, I will pay for them. So individuals with their fancy offices may no longer be relevant. the technology, I can put the problem onto the crowd. And exclusivity is gone. There is emergence of paraprofessionals. An 8th class pass with the aid of technology is far more superior to a professional today. In reality, take the nurse with the aid of technology, or take any one of us. If I have to check my blood pressure, sugar, I don't need to go to a path lab. I take an instrument, prick myself, and shows me the reading. I check my own blood pressure. So I am a paraprofessional. So all of us, with the aid of technology, become paraprofessionals. So the professionals are threatened. That is the hard reality, and that is why understanding these trends of the 4th Industrial Revolution, and I'm just giving you a preview because this is a Rotary talk, this is not a full-fledged talk on the 4th Industrial Revolution. But remember these impacts and these mega shifts or disruptions. The question no longer is whether I will be disrupted. It will be when will I be disrupted, how much will I be disrupted, and what will be the future of work. You see, I spoke about the technology, and then there is cognitive computing. I did not. People say humans will never get replaced. Judgment can never get replicated. IBM Watson, the computer, is a classic example. It processed 200 million pages of data to be able to compete in double jeopardy. Do you think a human can do it? Machines today can process thousands, or rather 100,000s of documents with the press of a button and give you the results of it. Can humans do that to that? You'll need hundreds of thousands of people to pages. That's the hard reality. And then the impact of workforce is something which is dramatic. And I'll show you the impact on workforce. But before that, the future of professions. This was not my information, but a source where the future of employment in 2013, this was the projection. The most vulnerable are accountants and auditors, which is my profession, and telemarketers, of course. The least, of course, which are being threatened will be recreational therapists, because you can't get go to a beauty parlor, put your face into some technology device, and suddenly you become like Aishwarya Rai. That's not possible as of now. Okay, maybe a day will come, and that is the reality. But look at the impact which it has had. That if you see, Harvard has had more online admissions than ever in its 370 plus years of history today. It's online courses. You know about Khan Academy, you know of Byju's, the millions of students who are into that learning portals. Where does this leave educational institution? Where does this leave education? Just extrapolate. Don't even think of what new things come up. We are in the world of connected devices. We are in the world of, I won't say automatic, what we call is you're seeing these cars without drivers. You have weapon systems which automatically launch weapons. A few years from now, maybe 10, 20 years, your kids will ask, did you actually drive cars in those days? Because they would be used to a situation where there is no driver. Everything will be audio driven, but that's the reality which we're seeing. It's not funny, but that is the hard reality. A pharmacy in California, in the University of California, processed 200,000 prescriptions without an error. That's how it dispenses digital pharmacies. Johnson & Johnson has come out with a device called Edusys, which replaces anesthesiologists. 10 operation theaters can be managed with that only one anesthetist, because the rest is all machines which will manage all the patients. That's the developments we are seeing in the medical field. Newspapers, so with magazines, everything is digital. So the future of work, what's happening is the type of work people will do in future will be completely different. We are seeing that big shift. It doesn't mean that the jobs will go away. Yes, certain types of jobs will go away, but newer types will go away. But more importantly, there's a lot of background noise, so I'm speaking a bit louder. Bear with me.
Sorry.
Your workforce is changing, and I'll show you that too. And the workplace you're seeing already in pandemic, which is seeing is changed. So what work will be automated? Who can do the work? The workforce is open talent.
It is something like TCS or Infosys. That kind of company.
Okay.
Venkat, can you
Continue or should I wait?
unmute? I think,
Okay. So what we're seeing is that the future workforce, in my time, parents would ask, is your job permanent or is it temporary? The reality today is everybody's job is temporary. Everybody's job will become contractual in future. No one will need to have permanent workforce. You'll have more gig workers and you'll have more freelancers. Why do you need to tie yourself up with one organization? Just like in the medical field, you're seeing enough freelancers, you'll find that an increasing number of robots. Many hotels in Europe today, your morning coffee newspaper is delivered by a robot. You don't even interact with a human. This is the big change, and that is changing organizations. If you see, part-time employees will finally move to what we call crowdsourcing. That's not reality.
Alarao sir, can you please go on mute?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I think elections are a good thing to carry.
Okay. Sorry. So what does this mean for individuals? It means for us. Again, show you a formula Tom Friedman said. I'll speak about it before I show you that. Tom Friedman was asked, the guy who wrote the book, The World is Flat, he was asked, with all this changing technology, what happens to people, jobs, what should they do? He said 5 things. First, he said, think like an immigrant. Each one of us, take an immigrant from Syria who goes all the way to Germany through all this difficult terrain. That person lands up in Germany, it's a new land, new language, new culture, qualifications are useless, food habits are different, weather is different. How does he survive? He adapts himself to that new world. That's exactly what each one of us must think like. That's the first point he made. The second he said is think like an artisan. When automation and technology happens, all of our jobs can get replaced. But those whose jobs will get replaced last is those who have their artistic touch. I want only Ramesh. I want only PR Ramesh because that touch. So they will also be disrupted, but perhaps later in the year. The third, he said, always be in beta mode. You'll never be in finished mode. You're always changing. But the fourth, more important, he said, he gave a formula. PQ plus CQ is greater than IQ. He says nobody is interested in IQ. Organizations won't recruit based on IQ. They recruit based on PQ and CQ. PQ is the passion quotient, and second, CQ is the curiosity quotient. Why? Why not? In the real world, if you have to be asking questions, why? And why not? Why should we be doing this? Why not differently? What is the impact of this? Those who fail to do that will be in the Jurassic Park of professions or businesses, as the case may be. So it means lifelong learning. And the last point he made is think like an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur takes risks. So essentially, each one of us has to shape our own career. Nobody else can direct your career, because you need to read the tea leaves, understand the trends, and then prepare yourself for the future, because for certain, the future will not be the same as what it is right now. And you must pursue your passion, and that's why I said passion quotient. What does this mean for organizations? They too must be technology savvy. They must embrace technology, otherwise they're gone. There will be no organization, even a vegetable vendor won't be able to survive without technology. And they need to implement new models. Even the organization hierarchies will change. And laws will need to change. Today we are debating that. What you can write on WhatsApp. Can you be arrested for what you've written on WhatsApp? Can you be arrested for what you post on Facebook, etc.? So whilst jobs are not going away, they are changing. So what is it each one of us need to do? We need to ask ourselves, how vulnerable are we? Why are we wanted? How am I able to earn? Will that job remain? Will that business remain the way it is? Will my Rotary Club meet the same way for 20 years from now? How different will it be? Who is our competition? For automobile companies, the competition for General Motors, Toyota is not the competitor. The competitor is Google, Tesla, and others. Technology companies are the competitors. So we need to understand why we are wanted today or successful today. And then, will the game be the same? Even in cricket, you've seen Test cricket is no longer relevant. Will it be a new game? Will there be new players? Will it be new skill sets? And we need to constantly do that. Even in taxes, those of you who are professionals here, today you're on faceless tax assessments. Where are you interfacing with an income tax officer face to face? In fact, you're sitting in your office and filing. This is the point I made to you about Tom Friedman. But the simple point before I take questions is the impact of the technology, Industry 4.0 or the fourth industrial revolution, where there is a congruence of the physical world, the digital world, and the biological world with nanotechnology and a whole host of other things, is unimaginable. Today, even when I wear a watch, it gives me it's the oximeter readings. Do you think Apple would have come out with this sort of a watch with this O2 readings if it had not been for the pandemic? Imagine a watch will tell you an ECG, it gives me my heart rate, it gives me my oxygen concentration, everything in a watch. It gives me weather, it tells me about many other things, how well I slept, how much I've walked in a day, name it. Apart from messages, apart from being able to make calls in the watch, apart from being able to listen music in the watch, and it's getting smaller and smaller and its life longer and longer. Imagine this will send you an alarm, send an alarm to your doctor if your heartbeat drops below a certain level. If you're fallen somewhere and you're immobile for some time, it will send an emergency message. Look at the developments which are happening and what does it mean for all the systems which we have put together and enjoying today. All of them will become redundant or will undergo significant change. So the simple point is understand the trends, observe all these changes, expect that your present will not be the future. And we all should prepare for the future. Otherwise, what do we think? What will we do? We will go and give some notebooks to children to write upon. We are giving them a slate and a chalk piece, and we take pride in that. I have gifted this. Do you think the child today will want a slate and a chalk piece? And many people have this mental block. Even us, we say, "Oh, my grandchild knows how to operate this. I don't know how to operate." Why don't you know? Because you've got this mental block. You don't have the curiosity quotient. And if you have that mental block, you will not be able to survive in this world. So please don't be technology myopic, short-sighted about technology, or technology agnostic or technology illiterate. I think first is embrace technology, which is what all of us are able to do. Don't think that you'll be able to survive without technology, and watch all of this and be prepared. Your businesses could disappear, your jobs could disappear. I'm not painting a doomsday scenario, but all I'm trying to do is tell you to put your thinking caps on. And I'm not soothsayer to predict the future. I can't. But all I know is that the present will not continue. And that is why even the car I drive will not be the same as what I will be driving in future. Take Tesla, for instance, its car. Is it a car with a computer or a computer with wheels? Given what it can do is unimaginable. And that is why when you come about autonomous devices, autonomous vehicles, autonomous weapon systems, it's unbelievable where there is no human interface. And that is why when we saw the physical to digital, machines are developing software, which in turn is developing hardware in the physical world, redesigning through 3D printing, creating devices, and machines are learning from each other. And every time when you're talking to Amazon device Alexa, or you're talking to Apple Siri, or you're talking to Google Assistant, look at the power of what it has, how it can answer your questions, how it can remind you of your tasks. Look at some simple things, and then isn't it a wow? How you can do that and program things in it. Very basic things. It can do your shopping. It can be connected to your refrigerator to check if the milk is adequate. Otherwise, it will automatically online order milk on Amazon. That's what's happening today. If you go to Amazon store, Amazon Go store in Seattle, and I've gone to that store. That's a store where there are virtually there is no teller, no checkout. You enter the store using your mobile. And as soon as you enter, the store has all the groceries, whatever you want. You pick up whatever you want, put it in the bag, and just walk out. The moment you walk out of the store, your account is debited with the bill. No standing in the queue, no bill, nothing. You put back the item bill. The cameras on the store capture everything. Your whole family can go with you. Any member of the family picking up is also added to your bill because they would have entered the store with your mobile. Just basic. Imagine if that Amazon Go store is which is in Seattle is replicated across. What would it mean for your Ratnadeep supermarket or for any of your Reliance supermarket, or what does it mean? No lines, no queues, nothing. You just walk in, pick up, put it in your bag, walk out. Everything is captured and built seamlessly. That's the future, and that's the reality we're experiencing today. Just like you're experiencing the reality in airports today. Seamless. You walk in, just show what, nothing, no human, no rubber stamping, all gone. Just reflect on those days how you used to travel and what you're doing today. So I'll stop here and take questions. We must, as Rotarians, maintain time. And that is why, thank you very much for this opportunity. And I'm sure now everybody will be unmuted and I'll be happy to take questions.
Sir, Ramesh sir, I am already seeing what you are telling now, sir. Now that one of my friends is in his QR code technology. Before 10 minutes before, you can order all the groceries in his phone from QR code. When you go to the shop, your stock is ready with packets.
Correct.
And one more thing,
you
sir.
Walk into the store and pick up anything.
Yes, sir. Yeah, one more thing in business centers now, latest trend has came, sir. When you sign a contract in a virtual office or business centers, they are logging with our phone. Whenever you enter office, automatically your time starts. Whenever you exit your from their office, it automatically cut off and it monthly takes calc and debit your amounts without any hassle free, sir. These are practically, I am seeing the difference between last 2-3 years.
Good, but in the medical field, today you're seeing all these drugs which are 5 milligrams, 30 milligrams, 25 milligrams. With nanotechnology and smaller embedded devices into your human body, you don't need those sort of drugs. Everything can be customized to you with big data and analytics, which is there. So you can have very focused treatment. And as I told you, with bioprinting, your own tissues can be generated. No longer will it be about organ transplant. The organ will be generated based on your DNA and then replaced, those tissues. So it's phenomenal. When you think about it and you read about what Ray Kurzweil has written or David Eagleman has written or any of those, and it's a different subject about the human brain, and I'm fascinated by the...
Sir, it is muted, sir. It is muted.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Anybody else? Questions? No, I'm...
Sir, I have a question, sir. How's the government interference in doing this? Like if you are, I don't find a much variances in the governmental organization that's happening right now. And are they, the political challenges, reluctant to make the change?
You see, the reality is governments will be forced to do it. We've seen the first impact of it was one of the early impacts was in the Egyptian revolution recently. A few years ago in Egypt, as you saw, in Cairo, in the square, how people assembled and forced the government to change. People were connected. Today, you can't cut off people from Facebook, you can't cut off people from social media, whatever you do. So the pressure of people, whether they're using TikTok or equivalents, all that will force governments to change and rise up to the change. And the reality is, the laws will not keep pace with the change. Societal organizations, societal functions, and laws will always come. There will be a lag. In that period, there will be a bit of chaos. Today, for instance, when driverless cars or autonomous vehicles, as we call that, are on the road, as it is in many places already, what happens when there is an accident? Is it you'll blame the manufacturer? Will you blame the technology? Will you blame the owner of the vehicle? Who will pay the insurance? What it is? The laws are inadequate. So the laws will need to evolve today. As I said, if I forward a WhatsApp, I'm realizing that's a crime. It means I assent to what is written in that WhatsApp. Was there such a law before? It's being interpreted now.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes, Mr. Ganeva.
You have told everything about the revolution, but what about the fitness of the human being in the future? What about the revolution of the fitness of the body? If you are going to do all this one about the children, young children, daily sitting at home or going out, or what about the physical fitness of the human body?
See, the reality is a human will have more time to do higher level things. He won't be doing the basic things. Earlier times, your parents or my mother, everybody used to spend far more time in the kitchen, in front of a chula, mopping the house, grinding the coffee powder, all that. None of that will be required now. So they'll be doing something far more intellectual or high quality. And the awareness level will be so high. The data will be so high. And as I said, with embedded devices, it will tell you your human situation. Are you obese? Is your heartbeat all right? Everything. So they will be able to more focus on what it is. Just like today, there is the craze. Somebody is going to buy cornflakes, will look at, oh, what is the calories in the store? You just go and see. Some people are so obsessed with it. Oh, no, the sugar content is like this. Earlier, did they ever bother? Because that information was not there. So people will try and adapt and be fit and healthier as a result of more awareness being created. Because of awareness, today you know your sugar level, you know your BP. Say 50 years ago, how many would have been diabetics? They wouldn't even know. Their organs would have been impacted. That is the hard reality. So today, look at, there's so much talk about diabetologies, so much demand for them, so much demand for, so it is moving from treatment to preventive to wellness. It is not even in a way preventive. How do you have wellness? So today one talks of wellness, nothing else, not about medical. So medical field also a big shift is happening. And with understanding DNAs, they are able to say, which is already there today, will you be cancer prone? Because based on your DNA printing, they are able to determine how vulnerable are you to cancer or any other disease well in advance. And one is able to trace one's genealogy way back to whether it's Eastern Europe or Africa or wherever it is, for a very low price. Phenomenal in the medical field. It's again medicine combined with technology. That is the biological world with the digital world.
Rotary and Ramesh, I'd like to ask one question. First of all, your session had been extremely, really good and very gripping. So thank you for giving your views on these technological changes. Every technology change brings a set of challenges, like most important thing being the security. And, already we are seeing lots of data, information theft and all that. So as it is, going into the next gen, how do we deal with that? What are your views on that?
That's the hard reality. In fact, Kaspersky and even McAfee, for instance, a few years ago used to deal with 200,000 infections each month. Today they are dealing with 200,000 infections, or rather penetrations, maybe each hour. That is the hard reality. Just like in the human world, you are looking at viruses and you're looking at preventive and all that. In the digital world, it's a constant race. Cybersecurity is big business and will continuously be big business. Just like in the medical field, wellness or preventive, now everybody will be conscious of vaccines. In the next few years, any vaccine, you will rush and get yourself vaccinated and you'll be passionate about it. There's no question of being, complacent or being confident like Donald Trump. But that cybersecurity, sir, there is no solution to it. It is a constant race.
Thank you.
Sir, where we are at in India, where we are at in the controlling the damage, sir. One side we have population, and then one side we have technology freaks that exist. So how do we as Indian youth suggest that
technology is both an opportunity and a problem? The reality is India has 400 and soon will have 400 to 500 million working age population. Our average age population is 29, and that is why in the world we will have the world's largest workforce. Now the world's largest workforce has to be deployed. Otherwise they will be on the streets and there will be social upheaval. The second problem is this workforce is significantly in rural India, not necessarily in urban India. IT companies will employ a few 100,000 people, but we are talking of 500 million jobs. We need to have 2 million new jobs each month. What is it? What is the solution? Technology provides a solution in terms of for many of the ills of India. Today, for instance, communication. Earlier, in 1970s, we had the only means of communication was All India Radio. Today, everybody is connected instantly. If a wicket falls, you know instantly, all across the country and everywhere. Netflix, today's newspaper will tell you that for what is that, Raat Akeli Thi, whatever, had 193 million viewers already. So the point is, technology has now today, because of technology, direct benefit transfer is happening. Government subsidies are going direct to the person and there is no leakage. So technology is an advantage. But technology is creating entrepreneurs of people. So more and more people, instead of becoming workers, will become entrepreneurs. Have you gone around and seen how many mobile repair shops are there? How many shops today are able to sell you prepaid cards? How many you can go to a pawn shop and get yourself recharged? Look at the entrepreneurship technology is creating. Look at the number of devices. How many people will be needed to repair those devices? So technology will create new jobs, but it will be different and across. So if technology goes across rural India, you want broadband in a village, you will need a technology specialist there. People will learn the technology. Just like Ola and Uber, look at the driver, he's become so tech savvy. He uses Google Maps very well. He uses everything. Paytm, even a vegetable vendor uses that. So I'm convinced that people's jobs will change, but there will be pain in the short term. Our problem is number of people. But look at the wonders it has done for the railway reservation system. I used to stand in the line and many others. The previous night, because the booking reservation window will open the next day morning to reserve a berth in the railways. The previous night, I had to go and stand in the line. Today, where? You do it online. Even few years ago, if I was standing in the line to cancel a ticket, by the time I reached the window, my RAC got confirmed and I lost money. But now even that, look at the developments in technology, the way it is. You can book from anywhere, any station. Unbelievable. Lives have changed dramatically. And if it has changed when I reflect back 30 years ago, imagine what it will be for my children or grandchildren 30 years from now. Just think.
Ramesh Garu, Ramesh?
Yes, sir.
Of course. You have actually given a elaborate information and development trends and all these things. Really appreciable and laudable. And it is going to make a man very, very comfortable, convenient, and sometimes lazy also. Doesn't matter. That is a side effect of it. Okay, fine. That's okay. But the mundane works or routine works are actually getting reduced because of the first automation, industrialization, automation, etc., etc. Now you have taken us to further next course, then there will be excess people and there will be a lot of unemployment will be there, especially lower income groups and labor class and all these things. Will you expect harmony in the society in the situation? Will there not be any, disturbances, riots, and also, social revolution and revolutions against the government and all? Don't you think so?
No, let me first challenge you on the fact that lower level jobs will go. It's not just lower level jobs. If you go back and look at the Newsweek issue, I think it was sometime in June or July 2017, around that time, 3 years ago. I'm talking 3 years ago. Newsweek had a front page and the title was Goldman Sacked. Goldman Sacked, SACKED. And the article was about Goldman Sachs New York office. Yeah. Goldman Sachs New York office had 700 traders, online trading in the stock market they used to do. They used to make millions or few billion for Goldman Sachs. After all, when you're doing trading on the stock exchange, you're using data. You're using judgment based on data, trends, etc. So Goldman Sachs was able to replicate all of that. Any human judgment is based on data or feeling or instinct. That is why I use the word affective computing. Effective computing is able to use your emotions, your feeling to do computing, which is what is also developing. And effective computing can tell you whether you are sad, you are happy, whether you are telling lies. In fact, cameras can just look at you, the way you speak, and tell whether you are lying or not. That's the volume of data computers process. Having said that, what happened in Goldman Sachs, they replicated the entire decision making and reduced the number of employees, those high traders who were paid millions themselves, from 700 to just 2. 698 high-level jobs disappeared. So even judgment can be replicated. So managers can go away if the levels will disappear. Just like a travel agent as a whole industry went away. It is not low-level jobs alone.
Sir, one more observation, sir.
Yes.
Like we were talking about Rotary and Sushil Kumar's question. We were, earlier doing. Our overall life length was, relatively less, as there were developments and all that in the medical technology, and that we started living longer. But now that we are actually not going to do so much of exertion and all that, maybe our lifetimes will start coming down. This is one thought I'm just thinking. Maybe your views. And then another second point, maybe more on a comedy side. Will there be technology to predict what is tomorrow's news today?
Oh yeah, sure. Why not? Why technology? Technology. You had S.P. Balasubramaniam. Sorry to hear about his passing away. Technology will generate an S.P. Balasubramaniam. Will generate paintings even better than any of the Picasso or anybody else. Today in my own house, I have a digital screen which reproduces paintings from museums across the world. And if you switch off the lights and look at it, it is just like the painting or the actual image in Rome, in many of the places. All I'm saying is everything can be replicated. You can't make out today. In many cases, when you're dealing with, there are call centers where it's machine speaking, you don't know. It replicates a human voice. It's able to understand your question. So the potential is unlimited. The question is, will man be, and reality will be man will live longer because of the developments in the medical field. I said, I can imagine today is bioprinting. What will happen tomorrow? God knows. And you will live longer. If you will live longer, what will you do? You will age slowly. Then you start imagining. It's unbelievable. Will you become spiritual? God knows. Will you still go to a temple and light a lamp? God, just like if you got used to going to an ATM to withdraw cash, you're not necessarily going to a bank. You will become comfortable in a digital environment. That's the reality.
Sir, one question, sir.
Sure.
Sir, what at this present situation, what you suggest for a young upcoming graduates, like upcoming graduates or technology people?
Graduate has to be first.
Sir? Technology.
Take, for instance, even a lawyer. In my time, a lawyer's office had all the books, even a tax professional, all bound books, everything. You go to a lawyer, he'll pull out Supreme Court decision 1964 and tell you. Today, nothing. You just ask Google or press of a button, it will give you by subject, by this, by keyword, by anything. So the power of knowledge is gone. In exams, you will no longer test recall of knowledge. In the past, we used to ask in exams, write short notes on this. Useless. Why do I need to write short notes? Recall memory is irrelevant. Today, recall memory is not relevant. My mobile phone, press of a button will tell me what I want. I need to apply that knowledge. So youngsters today have to observe trends. Look at what are the sunrise industries opportunities throwing up. Because use technology. Even if you're a lawyer, I should be able to use technology to be able to know how can I access case laws? How can I use that data around it? And in fact, today computers are able to develop arguments and also argue. We are yet to see a computer arguing in a court. It is not being accepted. But there will be a time where you may have a computer argue as good as Nani Palkiwala. Because it's the volume. If IBM's Watson can win in a double jeopardy, There is nothing prevents an IBM Watson arguing in a court and winning a court case, because the huge volumes of millions of pages of data it can process and correlate and come up with an argument and in English better than you and me. It's scary world, but that is the reality. It won't go away.
Sir, I have a question.
Sure.
I'm Swapna.
Yes,
sir, yeah, I mean, with this pandemic going on, what about the countries where tourism is their main occupation? I mean, tourism is that countries, mainly they are dependent on tourism and those type of countries, something like, and petrol, because we are going to get electronic cars and all, right? So how about those countries? How is the Middle East going to survive after this pandemic?
I'm just giving a thought. It's not a solution or anything. Say tourism. What is the purpose of tourism? You want to experience the Taj Mahal, correct? You're going to see the Taj Mahal and experience it and then get that feeling of a Taj Mahal. Today we are in a world of what we call virtual reality or augmented reality, which is a feeling of actually experiencing the Taj Mahal. So you will, those countries will develop digital experiencing solutions, and which you can access at a price, and even wear a device and experience. Today, even marketing is that way. I was with a tractor manufacturer last year. They said, we don't have to take this tractor to the field to show the farmer. All we need to take is the device which he will wear, and he is actually driving the tractor, different types of tractor and experiencing, or a different type of car. So tourism is about experiencing that real world. Today, when you wear that virtual reality glasses, you can walk around in the temple, moving your heads around, and the image moves. It's as if you're actually walking in the Vatican. That is the reality. You won't even feel, and you can add the feelings to it in terms of feeling cold or feeling warm. You go to Disney in the United States, you'll have those shows which will give you that feeling. You'll feel like a rat is running under your table, under your chair, and people jump and scream, because that is everything is about feeling, and that is what tourism is about.
In a present situation, real estate industry is completely taking advantage of augmented reality and virtual reality, sir.
Absolutely. Interior designer will come to your house with a laptop and say, oh, this is how your room will look like. This color, this position, this table. Look at the technology. Earlier, you used to have draftsmen who would come with the blueprint. Right? Any change you would require one more drawing. He'll say, I'll come after a few days with a new plan. Now on the computer, he will do like this and show you a new plan layout. You'll say, okay, I want this elevation, that color.
In hotel industry also, sir, this type of menu will be like this food item will be like this. Already started in Hyderabad market.
Conferences with holographic images.
Yes, sir.
Supposing Suresh is a speaker as he's going to talk on leadership. It will be not just Suresh on a screen, it will be Suresh in a digital form on the stage. You are all sitting in a conference room, you won't even, it's almost like Suresh talking live. I'm just giving Suresh as an example.
Yes, sir.
That's the way it is if people can't travel millions of miles or thousands of miles. That feeling is back to experience. If I give you an illustration, like me, he was the world's fastest skier, but he was blind. But he used to ski at over 100 miles per hour with, everything attached to him, and everything is through touch and sense.
Yes, yes.
That's a different subject about the human brain, which I can speak about another day.
Never-ending question, sir.
Go ahead. Anybody?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Ramesh, can technology replace food, Ramesh?
Technology replace food? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's all about feeling. You can feel full. You can feel not hungry. That you see, what is feeling full stomach? It is the nerves and it's the sensations which go into your brain, right? A paralytic person can't feel pain, but you and I can feel pain, right? It is the human eye it's not the eye which sees, it is the brain which sees. I will give you a classic example. Take cricket for those who follow cricket. Shoaib Akhtar is bowling to Sachin Tendulkar. And Shoaib Akhtar is bowling at 100 miles per hour. A cricket pitch is 22 yards. And at 100 miles per hour, Shoaib Akhtar's ball will Sachin Tendulkar in quarter of a second. Now, when the ball is about to leave Shoaib Akhtar's hand, Sachin's eyes will see that image, will send signals to the brain will process that image and calculate what could be the speed, where the ball will fall, how much will be the bounce, and send signals back to Sachin Tendulkar's body to whether it to go forward, go backward, to hook, to drive, to cut. All that processing in reality takes 1.5 seconds. But human brain works on patterns. So what colors we see is not what are the real colors. It is what the eye is able to capture and the brain is able to filter. Why is it an eagle can see from so high, why you and I can't see? It is because of our image processing in the brain. A dog can smell you being here 10 hours ago. I can't smell. Why again? Because it is those sensors. The developments in sensor technology is just one illustration. That's why I said sight, sound, sensor, what computers are able to do. Today, when no longer do you bring a dog, you look at digital images, CCTV cameras, cell phone towers. That's how investigation is happening today. In my good old days, when theft happened, they brought an Alsatian dog. You've seen the change. So everything is about feelings.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions? I think Shravanti has questions. Shravanti?
Yeah. Hello, sir. Good evening. Thank you for addressing the issue, the pace of change in technology, which is accelerating, and whatever you have mentioned is just a tip of the iceberg, even though you have covered so many topics. But like how you started with the health care industry, so when even there is the technology which you are speaking about, the future of the technology is not yet, we are not yet there, but yet in the world we see a lot of depression, a lot of mental issues which per se, even the kids have such issues. And then we also see loss of empathy in the society. We also see a lot of environmental damages which is happening in the society. And even otherwise also we have the so-called developing countries in the world are being marginalized by a lot of exclusion with various social factors which we see today in the world, or which we have been seeing in the past. But again, development or development of technology could also be another reason for this exclusion. And what is it we need to do to address all these issues, as a society, as a person, as a society, or
Correct. You're so right. I think the first thing is many of us require a detoxification. We are also WhatsApp junkies, some of them. When I get up in the morning, I'm horrified by the number of WhatsApp messages which come. And some people have the urge to post message after message, and I wonder what else they do. As a world, we are today more connected than ever before, but we are equally more disconnected than ever before. An average human being refers to his mobile device 2,400 times a week. So even if, as I am speaking, if you're looking at your mobile device, it's not natural. That is the hard reality. You read the book called Together. Together is the title, written by Vivek Murthy, the Surgeon General of United States. A fantastic book. He talks about the largest ailments in United States is not cancer, not diabetes, none of those, not drug addiction, but loneliness.
Very true.
Doctors are failing to recognize loneliness as an ailment and treat it or factor it in their treatment. He gives live examples of communities, some African community, where if one patient is in the hospital, there are 30 people who come. He says that is solidarity, that is connection, that is the patient never feels lonely. The patient doesn't even know he has an ailment, and he gets cured faster than other patients who gets admitted, who's in the ICU, nobody nearby, can't talk to anybody. That, he says, unfortunately, is how doctors are dealing with patients. So the biggest ailment, without doubt, as you rightly put it, is loneliness. We have to stay connected, and even digital connection like this. I'm glad this Rotary Club is arranging meetings every week. And I urge everybody to attend this because at least we are connected with each other. We're looking at each other in the face. We feel wanted in a way. And that is the single biggest ailment we have to get over, and we need to detoxify. There are organizations which do not post mail in your mailbox on weekends so that you cannot do anything. Even if you send out a mail, it will not go out. So you are detoxified, you are isolated, you will get used to that. How many of us can, this is what we call, I forget the term, it's also a phobia, where if you are away from your mobile device for a few hours, you are terrified. It's like drug withdrawal symptoms you have. Can you imagine yourself not having a mobile the whole day?
We definitely cannot. And also this.
Food. You will say today, Shravanam, I am without salt, I am without this, I am fasting and all that. How many of you do digital fasting? I will not touch a digital device or look at a digital device the whole day. I think you need to introduce that.
Good suggestion, sir.
Maybe for which we need to have that, connection with ourselves, and spending time with our own self. Maybe we need to introduce that in everybody's life, that we spend some 1 hour with my own self without technology.
Or a WhatsApp holiday. Don't look at WhatsApp one day. Nothing will happen.
Single day events will not fall.
Yeah, nothing will happen.
Yeah. And also one more thing which you mentioned about technology being able to trace out whether you will be having a cancer or whether you will be prone to have any such disease by the DNA, or but again, this is something which Dr. Bruce Lipton, the cell biologist, which he speaks about. This is the subconscious. This is what we are actually telling to our subconscious mind, that let's say if I have genetically, my family has a cancer, then I'll also be able to get because of the DNA. But there are many instances which is not true. This is not the case. Don't you think that the technology is...
Let me correct you here. What technology is doing is every disease also could have an issue of your DNA. You are more prone to blood pressure because of what is in your genetic code. So they're trying to understand that genetic code and try and treat that or prevent that from happening by tinkering with the genetic code. How do you prevent a certain type of babies not to be born? How do you tinker with the genetic code early? If a sheep could be cloned, there are moral issues, of course, and that is what I said. Society's systems will take time to catch up. Now, just like we had this moral issue as to whether you should be told the gender of the baby, which is in your womb. Technology is enabling it today, correct? But there are moral issues surrounding that. Similarly, there will be moral issues on all of these predictions, or this technology predicting you're going to have cancer or whatever it is. But it's the hard reality. Technology is able to do that. The question is, do we slow this down, or is it good for mankind? That debate is a separate debate.
No, my question is it's not the debate which I'm going into, but how do we address the moral issues, or how do we address, how do we...
Moral issues can only be addressed by this being debated, and we will move ahead in a certain manner. Just like today, is abortion a moral issue in the United States? The answer is yes. There are people for and pro. There are some states which prohibit abortion, some states which allow abortions. Somewhere the dust will settle down. And it becomes the law. So the legal systems have to catch up with what developments in technology.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Suresh wanted to say something.
I think Suresh sir, if you are not speaking, I think it would be not good for us. So Suresh sir, can you say a few words, please?
No, actually, Chandu, yes, I am absolutely engrossed with PR's presentation. I am looking forward to, everyone finishing, and I will give the vote of thanks today.
Yes, sir.
I think after the question answer session is over, I will have the privilege of giving the vote of thanks.
Okay,
I thought Suresh sir was implementing this technology into their field thinking. I thought that.
So we have like 5 minutes. We can take a few minutes of questions. Anyone else want to?
Hello?
Anyone else?
I'm surprised nobody has challenged me on the Pujari being replaced. You are seeing Tirupati Brahmotsavam live already, right?
Yes, sir. Already some of the videos are getting viral, sir. Grow I'm getting into the put one button, green button, that cow will come and do puja. Next, homam, next, okay, thank you. Give me dakshana, phone pay or Paytm. Thank you, good night. That cyber security will play a key role in the coming days, sir. Like cyber security.
Big business, big business. Without doubt.
Artificial intelligence, cyber security.
Without doubt.
Parsarthi sir, if you have any questions, maybe like a few words. Parsarthi sir, A.G. Parsarthi sir. Mute, sir.
Nothing, Chandu. Thank you, Ramesh. Wonderful listening. Just engrossed in listening to you. I think you hit the nail.
Reality.
Hello.
Yes.
You hit the nail on its head. I think we've got to live with it. So already we are living with it for the last 6 months. Regarding the Pujari thing, just in a humorous way, I have not visited the temple for last 6 months. I'm not missing it, Ramesh. I'm doing it at home.
Or the cricket field.
So I think I used to bump into you some of the times. I think going that Saturday. So I'm not missing my cricket too. So I think we're going to live with this, and that is what life is.
You got the digital sounds coming in the IPL, right?
Yes.
All the clapping and then the boundary, all the sound, background sound, as if you're in the stadium.
So there's no challenge for the Pujari thing. Of course, there's no challenge because we got to live with. I'm getting the WhatsApp image of the deity from my Hanuman temple, which I used to go in East Artpalli. The Pujari very religiously sends me early morning. So I do a vandan and say thank you very much. That's what it is. Thank you very much, Ramesh. Very enlightening, and I think we got to live with it. Yes.
Yeah. A few words, Dayanand Gauri sir, maybe. Dayanand Gauri sir.
Unmute karna, sir.
One thing the computer can't match is Gauri's benevolence.
Vote of thanks.
I think if anyone, we are done with the questions, we can go ahead with the vote of thanks, and the vote of thanks is given by Suresh sir.
President sir, I recommend one thing. Every 6 months, we should have a discussion with Ramesh sir to uplift our technology and our meeting with the present market scenario, sir. Thank you for your presentation and your thought process.
Yes, sir. Vote of thanks from Suresh sir. Suresh sir. Muted.
Suresh is muted. He needs to unmute.
Suresh sir.
Hello? Yeah. Thank you, Chandu. I've just unmuted. Thank you so much. First of all, let me thank and congratulate Secretary Chandrakant for organizing this meeting. What a wonderful presentation from our own Rotarian PR Ramesh we have had this evening. And two takeaways, two words as far as I am concerned. One is passion and the other is curiosity. These are the two words. Whatever may be your age, whatever may be your station in life, you have to have the passion, you have to have the curiosity to embrace change. As the Roman philosopher Heraclitus said, there is nothing permanent in this world except change. Change is the order of life, and the technological changes which PR has pointed out today, the various realms of human endeavor where technology is impacting our lives, and how we need to embrace the ever-changing technology, and then always be ready to empty your cup as a lifelong student, and only then technology will you can hold technology by the hand, and it will improve the quality of your life and of your dear ones around you. What is amazing when you hear a person like PR is the clarity of thought and the lucidity of expression, the eloquence which just shines through. And thank you very much, PR. And while I think, end of the day, what is required is also a sense of balance. While we embrace technology, we update ourselves, and we move on in keeping with the times, the technological times, as it were. I think we cannot overlook the fact that we are human. As one American doctor, Dr. Louis Orr, he once said, science can never reduce the value of a sunset to arithmetic, nor can it reduce friendship or fellowship to a formula. Laughter and love, the joy of accomplishment in living, and the depth of inquiry into beauty and truth, these will always surpass the scientific mastery of nature. Unquote. Dr. Louis Orr, an engineering stalwart of the United States, talking to us many, many, many years ago. And therefore, my friends, I think this sense of balance, I can give you my own example. I think 2 or 3 years ago, one of my friends, he said, there is an app, you can install it in your phone, and when you go for your morning walk, you switch it on, and then it will tell you how many steps you have walked, how much calories you have burnt, and so on. And then when I was carrying the phone with that app, every 3 minutes, every 5 minutes, I was looking at the telephone just to check how many steps I walked, how many calories. And then I realized in just 2 or 3 days, I'm losing my connect with the nature around me, the greenery around me, the trees around me, and my sense of oneness with them. And therefore, I said, I will remove this app from my phone. In fact, I don't even carry my phone when I go for my walk, which is my me time, and when I connect with nature around me. Ultimately, my friends, end of the day, man is made of the 5 elements. And that is something which will always be an eternal truth. And therefore, we will relate to nature, our environment, and that will keep us rooted and bring that sense of balance. Even as technology makes our lives more comfortable, makes our lives more healthy, and we discover newer meanings in our lives thanks to the digital age, which we will keep passing through. Thank you so much, PR, for your presentation this evening. I think this should have been a joint meeting of all the Twin City Rotary clubs, so that all the Rotarians of the city could have listened to PR. I think we will wait for that opportunity, which will definitely come. And sometimes the amount of statistics which PR was reeling today. In fact, for a moment, my mind went back to that poem, The Village Schoolmaster by Oliver Goldsmith. And I think that will be the best way for me to thank PR for his presentation this evening. I quote Oliver Goldsmith from The Village Schoolmaster. Still they saw, and still their wonder grew, that one small head could carry all he knew. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Suresh sir, I want one thing. Not only you, sir, everybody is thinking about Ramesh sir's complete report. What is our next? Already minds are started thinking, sir, what to do with technology upgrading.
I think we will have a speaker meeting with Srinivas Peddi in future.
No, sir.
I think it's always glad to hear from PR Ramesh sir. Over to President sir. Can we take a few words from Dayanand Gauri sir? Dayanand Gauri sir. I think it would be incomplete if Dayanand Gauri sir.
అన్మ్యూట్ అవ్వట్లేదు ఆయన ఫోన్, అది ప్రాబ్లం అవుతుందని.
Okay.
Hello.
Over to President sir.
Thank you, Ramesh sir, for your elaborated speech on fourth industrial. Thank you very much, sir. So meeting. Hello.
Ramesh, Lakshman has posted a chat for you.
Yeah, I saw him and I acknowledged him when I first spoke itself. It was back in time. Thank you for being on the program.
Thank you, everybody.